The night my life split in two didn't come with shouting, or accusations, or even the kind of dramatic confession you see in movies. It came with silence, a cold, heavy silence that clung to our bedroom walls like smoke after a fire. My wife, Lena, was sitting at the edge of the bed, rocking our newborn son against her chest. Most fathers would have felt warmth at a sight like that. I felt something else entirely, something sharp, something cold, because the whole time I watched her, one thought wouldn't stop drilling into my skull. He doesn't look like me. Not even a little. I tried to swallow it, tried to bury it, tried to convince myself it was just exhaustion, stress, the weight of new fatherhood pressing too hard. But the doubt wouldn't leave. It scratched at me all day, kept me awake all night, poked holes in every memory Lena and I ever shared. By the time dawn bled through the curtains, my hands were shaking. I didn't plan the moment. It just fell out of me like a truth I could no longer hold. Lena, I want a DNA test. The room went still. Even the baby seemed to sense something was wrong. Lena looked up slowly, and in her eyes I saw something flicker: fear, anger, guilt, before she masked it with outrage. Pure, dramatic, theatrical outrage. A DNA test? She spat. You're accusing me of cheating? I didn't answer because we both knew the truth. If I wasn't accusing her, I wouldn't have asked. What happened next felt like a blur. Her screaming, her crying, her threats, her insults. Every word slammed into me like a brick. I can't believe you. You're disgusting. You don't trust me? Get out. And then she said the one thing that sliced deeper than all the rest. If you can't accept this child as yours, you don't deserve to be in this house. She shoved my duffel bag into my hands, opened the door, and threw me out like a stranger. Just like that, I went from husband and father to an outsider staring at the life that used to be mine. I stood in the driveway, heart pounding so hard it hurt, watching the woman I married slam the door in my face. My newborn son, maybe mine, maybe not, was crying inside, and I had no right to go back in. My world didn't just shake, it collapsed. The neighbor's porch lights blinked on, the cold night air bit into my skin, and my mind echoed with one brutal thought. What if she's hiding something? I walked away from that house with nothing. No family, no answers, no peace. But the one thing I did have was determination. 6 weeks of silence, 6 weeks of doubt, 6 weeks of digging for the truth, until the morning. I finally held the DNA results in my hands, and that was the moment everything changed. But that was just the beginning, before everything shattered. Before doubt crept into my bones, and before Lena's eyes stopped looking like home, we actually had a life that felt perfect, or at least close enough to fool me. We'd been married for 4 years then, not long, but long enough to fall into a rhythm that felt safe. Our mornings were simple. I'd wake up first. Always. I liked watching her sleep for a few seconds before shaking her gently. She would groan, bury her head deeper into the pillow, and I would laugh every single time. I used to think that was love toast tiny. Ordinary moments people don't look at twice. The smell of coffee drifting through the kitchen. Her hair tied up in a messy bun as she leaned over the counter, her humming old songs while I packed my work bag. She always kissed me goodbye. At the door, nothing dramatic, nothing movie-like, just a soft kiss on the cheek, a warm drive safe, okay? And a smile that made everything in the world feel bearable. Everyone said we were lucky, a young couple. Steady jobs, a small house that always smelled like vanilla candles, and laughter that could fill rooms. We were that couple. The one people pointed at and said, they're good together. Even our arguments were small, forgettable. Where to eat? Who left the towel on the floor? Why she always stole my hoodies? The kind of fights that end with one of us laughing first, and then came the day she told me she was pregnant. I still remember the tremble in her voice. The way she held the pregnancy test like it was made of glass. She cried into my chest for almost 15 minutes while I just held her, unable to speak, unable to breathe from the shock and happiness crashing into me at once. I painted the baby's room with my own hands. Soft, sky blue walls, a white crib, tiny shelves filled with toys before the baby was even born, We argued about baby names like normal first-time parents. I liked Mason. She liked Mason. We settled on a list, laughing at how neither of us wanted to lose. Her cravings became legendary. Pickles at 2. Ice cream before breakfast. I didn't complain. I liked feeling needed. We walked through stores hand in hand, imagining a future that felt bright and solid. A future with tiny footsteps running across the floor. A future we built together. Or so I thought. The last few months of her pregnancy were different. But I told myself it was normal. Hormones, stress, exhaustion. She became quieter, more distant, more protective of her phone than she had ever been before. But every time she placed my hand on her belly and whispered, "He's kicking," all the doubts disappeared. For a moment, I believed in us again. Believed in the family we were about to become. I didn't know it back then. But those peaceful mornings, those warm kisses, those simple routines, they were the last calm moments before the storm that would rip everything apart. 'Cause the life I thought we had, the love I believed was real, was already slipping through her fingers. The first red flag didn't come crashing into my life. It didn't scream. It whispered, just a small, quiet shift. Something so subtle that if I hadn't been paying attention, I might have missed it completely. It started one evening during her 8th month of pregnancy. I came home from work, tired but excited to see her. I'd bought her favorite strawberry cheesecake on the way back. She used to light up whenever I brought it home, but that evening when I walked in, she didn't even look up from her phone. Her thumbs were moving fast, too fast, too fast. Her face slightly turned away, like she didn't want me to see the screen. "Hey," I said softly. She actually jumped and clicked her phone off. That had never happened before. I tried to laugh it off. "Did I scare you?" "No," she said quickly. "Just texting a coworker." She said it so fast I didn't even have the chance to ask. A coworker. At 9 p.m. while she hid the screen, I told myself not to think too much. Pregnancy made people. Stressed, hormonal, easily startled. We all ignore the signs at first, especially when we love someone. But that was just the beginning. The next red flag came. 2 weeks later, Lena started going on evening walks alone. She said it helped with her back pain, helped ease the pressure on her lower body, helped her breathe better. Normally, I would have gone with her. But now she insisted every single time that she needed to go alone. "It's the only time I get to think," she'd say. I believed her. Until the day she came home smelling different. Not of sweat. Not of fresh air. Not of our usual vanilla candles. But of cologne. Man's cologne. Strong, sharp, not mine. The moment she walked past me, something inside me froze. It was a scent I'd never smelled on her before. And not the kind of scent you get from passing someone on the street. It was close-skin smell. The kind you get from being near someone. Too near. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she replied, brushing past me. "Just tired." No explanation, no detail, nothing. I should have asked more, pushed more. But when you love someone, you bargain with your own mind. Maybe it was perfume from a store. Maybe she walked behind someone. Maybe I was just stressed. Maybe. Those maybes are how we keep ourselves sane. The next one was harder to ignore. She changed her phone. Password, we'd never had secrets. Not once in 4 years. We even joked that sharing passwords was our version of a prenup. But now, every time I entered the room, she flipped her phone face down. If it buzzed, she grabbed it before I even had the chance to glance. One night, when I asked who kept texting so late, she snapped, "It's just work. Stop acting weird." That stung more than it should have, because I wasn't acting weird. I was acting aware. And the person I trusted most was the one making me feel foolish for noticing. The first red flag isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper. A new password. A smell that isn't yours. A nervous jump when you walk in the room and you tell yourself you're imagining it. But deep down, you know you're not. Suspicion doesn't explode all at once. It grows quietly, like a shadow stretching across a room. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. The night it truly began was a Tuesday 9:47 p.m. Lena was in the bathroom, supposedly taking a long shower to ease her swollen feet. But she took her phone with her. She had never done that before. Not once. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bathroom door, listening to the water run. Then I heard a faint buzz from inside. A message. Then another .3 in a row. She always ignored messages during showers. But this time, I heard the sound of her hurried breathing. Then the familiar click of her typing back. Who texts someone while shampooing their hair? My pulse kicked faster. I knocked lightly. You okay in there? The water stopped instantly. Too instantly. Yeah, just almost done. Her voice was higher, shaky, and I felt my stomach twist when she finally walked out. Wrapped in a towel, her phone was clutched, tightly in her hand, not on the counter. Where she normally left it, she avoided my eyes. That was clue number 1. Clue number 2 came on a Sunday. Morning, I woke to the sound of her. Whispering, not talking, whispering, she was on the couch downstairs. Phone pressed to her ear, her voice soft, sweet. Careful. I crept halfway down the stairs. Heart pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. I miss you too, she said. Those 4 words hit me like a punch. She went silent, listening to whoever was on the other end. Then, no, he's still sleeping. I can't talk long. The moment she heard my foot hit the step, she hung up fast, pretending she had just ended a normal call. Good morning, she said, forcing a smile. But her cheeks were flushed, her breathing uneven, and her phone was face down again. That was clue number 2. Clue number 3 appeared like fate wanted me to stop pretending we were in the car, heading to a doctor's appointment. She was scrolling through her phone, smiling a real soft smile I hadn't seen in months. A different smile. A smile you give someone you like. I tried to peek at the screen, just a glance, but she angled it away so sharply she nearly dropped it. What are you looking at? I asked, my voice calm, almost casual. She locked the phone instantly, like a reflex. Just a meme. A meme. People laugh at memes. They don't blush at them. We drove the next 10 minutes in silence. But my mind wasn't quiet. Every second was a storm. Then came the message that changed everything. One evening, while she was making dinner, her phone buzzed on the counter. She had forgotten it. They're a rare mistake. The screen lit up just long enough for me to see the name. Aaron. My heart dropped. Not mom, not best friend, not coworker, a man's name. With a heart dot, and the preview of the message was worse. I miss your voice. Call me when he falls asleep. My hands went cold, my vision blurred. And in that moment, every doubt, every fear, every red flag I had tried to ignore came crashing into place. I didn't know the full truth yet, but I knew something was very, very wrong. And I was running out of excuses to pretend otherwise. Discovery doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it arrives with a quiet click. In my case, it was the sound of a notification. It happened at 11:13 p.m. Lena had fallen asleep early, exhausted from a long day. Her breathing was steady, calm. Too calm for someone hiding the storm she was creating. Her phone was on the bedside table, face down. As always, but that night, maybe by accident, maybe by fate, she forgot to turn off the notifications preview. I wasn't planning to look. God knows. I wanted to believe the last pieces of trust still standing. But then her phone lit up the darkroom. The light hit my eyes first. Then the name. Aaron, my heartbeat, Stuttered. Another message popped up instantly, almost as if he knew she was asleep. Good night. Beautiful. I wish you were in my arms instead. My fingers went numb. My chest tightened. I felt like the air in the room had been sucked out. I should have stopped there. Any good man would have put the phone down. But betrayal has a way of pulling you in like gravity, with shaking hands. I picked up her phone for the first time in our marriage. I entered her new password, the one she thought I didn't know she changed. I tried our old anniversary date. Wrong. I tried her. Birthday. Wrong. I tried the due date of the baby. Unlocked. The screen opened to the message. Thread. My heart wasn't beating anymore. It was breaking their chat. Wasn't a few messages. It was Hundreds, days, weeks, months, messages full of kisses, heart emojis, inside jokes. But the one that destroyed me completely was a photo. A photo of her, 8 months pregnant, taking a mirror selfie in our bathroom, the same bathroom where I used to massage her, swollen feet. She was smiling, glowing, happy. And she had captioned it, "Your baby is almost here." I froze. My mind went blank. Your baby, your, not mine, your, the room blurred. The walls seemed to tilt. I had to sit down because my legs couldn't hold me anymore. I scrolled further, terrified of what else I'd find. I found voice notes, soft whispers from her, laughs I hadn't heard in months, sweet words she never said to me anymore. Then I found a message from him. Does he suspect anything? Her reply, no, he's too trusting. Sometimes I feel bad, but you're the one I want. I felt something inside me crack, something deep, something permanent. All the late night phone calls, the secret of walks, the cologne, the changed. Password. It all connected, every piece. Every sign, every moment I tried to convince myself. I was paranoid. I wasn't paranoid. I was betrayed. I didn't know how long I sat there. Minutes. Hours. The phone eventually dimmed back to black. But the words stayed burned onto the inside of my skull. When I finally looked at her peacefully sleeping beside me, the weight of everything hit me at once. I had married a woman who built an entire life. Behind my back, I had loved someone who loved someone else, and the child sleeping in the next room. I didn't know if he was even mine. My hands were trembling. My heart was shattering. My world was collapsing. And the worst part? I hadn't even asked the question yet, but soon. I would and that moment would destroy everything. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a second. I sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, replaying her messages again and again until they carved themselves into my skull. Lena slept beside me peacefully, the same woman who had whispered your baby to another man. By sunrise, the pain had turned into something sharper, something colder, something that demanded answers. When she finally stirred awake, rubbing her eyes like a child, I didn't move. She smiled softly. "Morning. You're up early." My voice came out steady. "Too steady, Lena. We need to talk." She froze. Just for a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Her eyes flicked toward the bedside table where her phone usually was. Only it wasn't there. I held it in my hand. Her face drained of color. "What? What are you doing with my phone?" I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply asked the question that had been crushing my chest all night. Who is Aaron? Silence. Not confusion, not denial. Just silence. Her breathing hitched. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes welled, not with guilt, but with fear of being caught. "I saw everything," I said quietly. "Every message. Every photo. Every 'I miss you.' Every 'your baby.' All of it." She covered her mouth with her palm. "Psst, like she could physically stop the truth from escaping. Please," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please let me explain." I stood up. "No," I said. "No more half-truths. No more lies. Just tell me the truth. Is he the father?" Her knees buckled slightly. She gripped the blanket to steady herself. "I don't know." Her voice broke. "I don't know whose he is." The words hit me harder than any punch ever could. "You don't know?" I repeated, barely breathing. "You carried him for 9 months and you don't know who the father is." Tears slid down her face. I made a mistake. "No," I snapped, the anger finally breaking free. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was a choice." She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. "Just listen." No. Let me explain. No. Every time she spoke, my heart cracked a little more. "You lied to me," I said, voice shaking with fury and ache. "You slept with another man while I was painting the baby's room. You called him the father behind my back. You laughed with him, whispered to him, loved him." Her shoulders collapsed as she sobbed into her hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But apologies meant nothing now. I walked to the door, grabbed my jacket, and turned to her one last time. "We're doing a DNA test," I said. "I need the truth." She cried harder. I don't want you twits. Not about what you want anymore. I paused at the doorway. My voice softened. Not because I felt pity, but because exhaustion had hollowed me out. When you said your baby to him, that was the moment you stopped being my wife. Her sobbing filled the room as I stepped outside. The door closed behind me, not with a slam, not with anger, just a quiet finality. A marriage ending in a whisper. When I walked out of the house that morning, I felt something strange. Not relief, not anger, just emptiness. A quiet, hollow space inside my chest where love used to live. I sat in my car for almost an hour before I could even turn the key. My hands were shaking, my breath uneven. Everything around me felt blurry, like the world was moving, but I wasn't. I drove to my brother's place, didn't call, didn't explain, just showed up with a bag of clothes and a face that told him everything was wrong. He didn't ask questions. He just opened the door and said, "Stay as long as you need." That night, I cried. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried until my throat burned and my eyes ached. I cried for the marriage I thought I had. I cried for the future I thought we were building. I cried for the child I wasn't sure belonged to me. But the worst part? Still missed her. People think betrayal kills love instantly. It doesn't. It just poisons it slowly. For days, I couldn't eat, couldn't work, couldn't think straight. My phone buzzed every few hours with messages from Lena. Please come home. We can fix this. I didn't mean for this to happen. You're still his father, even if you're not biologically. That last message shattered me all over again. I didn't reply, not once. 3 days later, she showed up at my brother's door with puffy eyes and trembling hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. Please, just talk to me. But I couldn't even look at her without feeling sick. I'm doing the DNA test, I told her firmly. Then we'll talk. Her face crumpled. She nodded, daunt, and walked away without another word. The next week was the longest of my life. I swung between heartbreak and anger, between missing her and hating her, between wanting answers and wanting to disappear. But somewhere in the middle of that emotional storm, something changed. I woke up one morning and realized hadn't cried the day before. It was small, but it was something. I got up, showered, ate breakfast, went for a walk. I didn't recognize the man staring back at me in the mirror, tired, thinner, eyes dull, but he was still standing. And there was power in that. I started talking to friends again, took long drives to clear my head, spent time with my family, focused on breathing, on grounding myself, on remembering I existed outside of her. Day by day, the weight on my chest loosened. I lost my marriage, but I was starting to find myself again. I realized something important. Her betrayal wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of her weakness, and I wasn't going to let her destroy me twice. First, by cheating. And second, by refusing to heal. So when the clinic finally called, when the results were ready, when the truth I had been dreading was only hours away, I didn't feel afraid. I felt ready. Ready to know. Ready to face it, ready to end this chapter no matter what the papers said, because for the first time since everything happened, I wasn't breaking anymore. I was rebuilding. When everything finally settled and the noise in my life quieted, I learned something I never expected to understand this deeply. Sometimes the person you fight the hardest for is the one who was never meant to stay. I kept replaying moments in my head, wondering where I went wrong, wondering what I could have done differently. But the truth is, loyalty isn't something you force. You can't teach someone how to love you if they don't even respect themselves. People say cheating is a mistake, but mistakes happen once. Anything more than that is a decision, a pattern, a comfort zone built on lies. And I realize that the moment someone chooses betrayal, they choose to live in a world where your heart is disposable. That's not love, that's convenience, dressed up as affection. For a long time, I blamed myself. I thought maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I failed somewhere. But healing showed me something powerful. Their cheating had nothing to do with my worth. It had everything to do with their character. Broken people break people. Insecure hearts look for validation, not commitment. And liars will always find a story that makes them the victim. But here's the unexpected part. Pain teaches. You more than peace ever will. Every tear I cried washed a little bit of fear out of me. Every quiet night alone made me stronger. Every moment of honesty with myself rebuilt a piece of me I didn't even know was cracked. I learned that choosing myself isn't selfish. Walking away isn't weakness. Leaving the table where love is no longer served is one of the bravest things you can ever do. Sometimes losing someone is the first step to finding your own peace. Sometimes a broken heart is the beginning of a better chapter. And sometimes the person you thought you couldn't live without is the very person you grow beyond. If someone cheats once, you might forgive them. They cheat again, you finally understand why you shouldn't. Patterns don't lie, people do. And no amount of love can fix someone who refuses to fix themselves. You can't rewrite someone's loyalty. You can't rebuild trust on top of lies. You can't heal in the same place that hurt you. What I learned, painfully and beautifully, is this. Every ending carries a beginning inside it. And every betrayal carries a message not about them, but about what you deserve. You deserve peace. You deserve effort. You deserve honesty without excuses. You deserve someone who chooses you not only when it's easy, but especially when it's not. So if you ever find yourself standing in front of someone who broke your heart, wondering whether to stay or leave, remember this: love shouldn't feel like a battlefield you're fighting alone. And the right person will never put you in a position where you have to question your own worth. Because in the end, losing them wasn't the tragedy. Losing myself would have been. If you've stayed with me until the end of this story, thank you. Sharing something this personal isn't easy, but sometimes speaking the truth out loud is how we finally set ourselves free. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there needed to hear this reminder. You deserve better than lies, secrets, and half-love. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What would you have done if you were in my place? Would you have stayed and tried to fix it? Or walked away the moment the truth came out? Your thoughts matter, and I genuinely want to hear them. Drop your answer in the comments and let's talk about it if this story touched you. Or if you've ever been through something similar. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. I share real stories, real lessons, and real emotions, the kind most people are too afraid to talk about. Your support means more than you know, and it helps me bring you more moments like this one. And remember, trust is fragile. Once broken, it never fits the same way again. Protect your heart. Choose people who choose you. And never apologize for walking away from someone who didn't know how to value what they had. Thank you for listening. Thank you for feeling this with me. And I hope the next chapter of your life is filled with honesty, peace, and the kind of love that never asks you to question your worth. What would you have done? Tell me in the comments. I'm listening.